What's the stupidest thing you've heard a person say aloud in public? Pigs don't have blood. My coworker trying to explain his belief that pigs don't have a heart, blood, or veins, which is why they're white meat. Wait, so then beef is red meat because it's full of blood? And chickens don't have blood either? What about dark meat? Do chickens have blood in their legs? These are important questions that your coworker needs to address for us. Dark meat is animals from the shadow realm. Okay, I think we have a winner. Phones don't run on electricity. They run on batteries. Said in that condescending, ugh, this is so obvious voice. I've probably heard worse at some point, but I remember sitting in a Starbucks on campus and this girl was telling this guy about her trip to Italy, and at one point the guy goes, so where do you want to go next? And she says, I've never been to Europe before, so hopefully that. Lol. Yeah, Europe is right in front of the UK, just out of reach, it's hard to miss. A bit late to the party, but I heard a woman explain to another woman how planes don't actually fly from America to Europe. They just hang in the sky motionless while the Earth moves below them until Europe appears and then they land. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Also, thanks for the silver and gold. Imagine a debate between this woman and a flat earther. Since when has anyone died from getting stabbed? Quote, breastfeeding is unnatural. Girl in my year 11 health class. It is if your breasts aren't hungry. That's when you gotta make little airplane noises and fly the spoon into the monsieur. Edit. Gracias. Coworker at my old job while we were setting up for Black Friday. It's pretty crazy that Black Friday actually falls on a Friday this year. Tell them that Halloween falls on a Friday 13th this year, cheeky smiley face. On the bus full of high school students, she's half Asian, half Chinese. And, don't leave us hanging, what about the other half? Half human. I heard two girls talking about baking when one said she wanted to try baking a bread at home but she didn't know how to make the crust of the bread. She also said she was thinking about baking the crust only because she liked it more than the rest of the bread. She truly thought that the crust was made separately. There is a Japanese bread in which the crust is made separate from a different dough, but that probably wasn't the case. Chickens are not animals. They shit eggs, said a friend who was trying to explain how she can eat poultry and be vegan at the same time. Edit for the people who want to give her the benefit of the doubt. This woman is 24 years old today and I've known her for 10 years. We went to high school together. I once had to convince this woman that she is in fact 22, not 21. She thought she was 21 and it took me and a team of 4 other people and her ID to prove to her mathematically that she is 22 years of age. But did she eat eggs? Vegan police inbound to confiscate her superpowers. I was in line at a KFC when the guy in front of me asked, how many pieces of chicken are in a 15-piece bucket? 13.5. Edit. Thanks for the silver, kind stranger. Him. I'm vegan but I still eat chicken and turkey. So can I get the Cuban? A sandwich with pulled pork and ham. Made with turkey instead of the ham? Me. Sure. So do you want me to take the pulled pork off? Or make it with double turkey? Him. No, leave that on. Me. Visible confusion, okay? He comes back later with his lady all mad saying he wants a new sandwich because he didn't know pulled pork was from pig and he doesn't eat pig because he's vegan. I also forgot to mention the sandwich comes with cheese. He didn't complain about that part. When I worked in Congress, I frequently gave tours of the Capitol. As I was wrapping up the tour, one of the constituents asked me to explain the difference between the Capitol and the White House. Okay, sure. Not everyone is knowledgeable about American government. I gave them a quick explanation and figured it would be sufficient. Nope. I was clearly mistaken. I then proceeded to listen to this person loudly proclaim that *I* was incorrect and that the White House is the same thing as the Capitol. Curious. What is the difference? Edit. I know what the White House is. Just didn't know the capital. Edit 2. How do I mute a thread because I'm getting 400 versions of the same answer? LMAO. The Capitol is the building where both chambers of Congress are situated. The House of Representatives and the Senate. The White House is the residence and place of work of the President of the United States. Edit. ITT. People confusing capital with capital. I got 400 days absence in a year but still passed. High school friend dropped this when we were measuring dicks on how we got away with things. Edit. We were in the metro and some white collars around us woke up from their autopilot mode and noticeably laughed. Edit 2. He made it clear it was days, not hours. This sounds like an updated version of the 4 Yorkshiremen sketch. During World War II history class, a girl actually thought the front line was a piece of rope held by the troops. What a deadly game of tug-of-war. Does myself count? I was shopping with my spouse after our child was born. We were in the baby aisle. She picked up a bottle of baby oil, which prompted me to ask aloud, wait, baby oil is actually for babies. Quote. A woman who had been walking into the aisle laughed audibly and immediately walked away. Gotta flush the system and replace the fluids every 3 to 5 months. Newer models don't need as much maintenance. What's a good viscosity for higher mileage babies? Full synthetic OW2O is what I've heard suggested most, though there's debate over whether there's an autism risk with full synthetic. Sue. Does an egg get boiled before or after it comes out of the chicken? Obviously before, right? Yeah, I hate having to deboil my eggs when I buy them fresh. There's a starlet in my country who's famous, I don't know, for being famous I guess. Here are some of best OFS. Translated. I would bulldoze down Church of St. Donat, built in 9th century, and build an older one. Greetings to my parents, especially mom and dad. Quote. I'd love to have more self-confidence in other people. I'm always included in mobbing. I have 5 mobile phones. Quote. She never ceases to amaze. For all those asking for a name, a Redditor in the comments below mentions it. Shortly after 9/11, my wife and I were in the UK. On the way home, the customs officer at the airport was dead serious. Officer, are you a US citizen? Wife, yes. Officer, it says here you were born in New Mexico. So when did you become a US citizen? Wife, at birth. New Mexico is in the US. Officer, no it isn't. It's in Mexico. That's why it has Mexico in the name. Monsieur. Just like New York is in York, which is in the UK. Harry Potter isn't a book. It's a movie. Quote. Isn't that a video game? Whilst on Thailand I had someone say, I don't like it. There are just too many Asians here. Did they exclaim it loudly in a crowded room? My dad's cousin's girlfriend, in the middle of a room filled with people of Asian descent, yelled, Multi-Giapponese. Multi-Cinesi. If you don't speak Italian, you can easily figure out what those words mean if you know the words in English. In retaliation for 9/11 we should bomb the Taj Mahal. Birds are mammals, right? Quote. No, they're birds. I know, but they're still mammals, right? Quote. I heard some people debating whether birds were mammals or primates. Ada. Well, thanks for the gold. My friend has said 2 of the stupidest things I've ever heard. We were discussing climate change solutions in class and she says, can't we fill a hot air balloon with all the carbon dioxide and send it into space? Single quote. And regarding deforestation, why don't we just clone fully grown trees? Single quote. I have a very similar one. Why don't we build a really long steel pipe to space? We can put our CO2 in it and the vacuum would suck it out. And why don't we raise satellites with long steel poles instead of spending millions on rockets? Quote. He had a thing for long steel poles. He also thought steel was infinitely strong and the only thing keeping humanity from building caves high buildings was the cost. Edit. He absolutely was not talking about space elevators. He was talking about a long pole on the ground being raised by holding it from one end and sticking a satellite to the other end. Well, he seems to understand the concept of a space elevator. Just with the wrong material. Where are your extra medium dog sweaters? I would love to see an extra medium dog though. Standing at the foot of the Jesus statue in Rio de Janeiro, I heard an American ask his tourist guide, "Are these mountains natural or man-made?" Well, they say that faith can move mountains, so maybe it was a joint effort. Completely natural, just like Mount Rushmore. My gym has just refinished the men's locker room as it came out that there would only be personal showers, not community ones. I overheard two gentlemen in their 60s to 70s. This is all because of the millennials. What are millennials? Quote, younger people. You know, they've never been in the army or navy. Quote, Earth is flat because if it would be round, then it would bounce. Two grandmas talking in France. Well, there's definitely more wind ever since the fall of the Berlin Wall. They were dead serious. I heard that as a kid and I still laugh at it. I would have asked them if they remembered the archaic windy days of pre-wall Germany. Not me, but my dad has heard. I set out all these bird feeders and bird baths, but not one bird comes to my yard. I bet it is all those pesticides that crop duster is laying down in the field. Local school board member. As they were standing in her 5-acre yard with 20 or more cats running around. So in actuality, she just established a very elaborate bird trap. Question. A recent poll shows that 1/5 of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is? Quote. Answer. I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. and should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries so we are able to build up our future. Heard on a crowded bus. She's half white, half black and half Chinese. I swear I could almost hear everyone within earshot collectively face palm monsieur. Half man, half bear, half pig. Man bear pig! Exclamation mark. I don't understand why I need to be on time for work. Boss, you don't have to be here anytime anymore. Wait, so I can just sit around all day at home and still get paid? No, you're fired. Homer. Mr. Burns called. He said if you're not at work on Friday, don't bother coming in Monday. Woohoo! 4-day weekend. Quote. Edit. Thank you very much. Traveling back from Berlin to the UK, I was sat next to a couple whose conversation had me wondering if I was being secretly recorded. Woman to her husband. I wish we had managed to get to the beach and the seaside in Berlin. It looks so lovely from up here. Do you think we'll go over the channel on the way home? I'd prefer to go around and travel overland all the way. Is this Snowdon we're going over now? Quote. We're descending into Manchester. I think this is the same cloud we went through on our way out. Quote. I have posted this before, but I went to college in a small town and every Thursday they would have a mobile DMV. When I had to get my license renewed, they were having trouble with the internet. The woman in charge instructed the other woman working there to shake out all the wires because sometimes the information gets clogged up in the monsieur. An uppity woman to a server in a restaurant. Do you know who I am? Quote. Do people realize how ridiculous they seem when they try to throw their weight around like that? Woman. Do you know WHOIAM? Voice from across the room. A bitch. Quote. I really want to witness this situation so I can be the one able to say it. Then I can just stand there in silence and not say it. I always hope that the reply is, I've no idea, madam. That would really grind their gears. Or the Benny Hill response, why, have you forgotten? Men can't be raped because they think about sex all the time. My sex ed teacher in high school told me the same thing. It's been over a decade since then and it still terrifies me that anyone could possibly think that. Especially a sex ed teacher. If this thought process is true, I can't have an eating disorder because I think about food all the time. And I can't have depression because I think about being happy. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.